Okay, looks like we have a good amount of attendees. I'm going to go ahead and just kick this off and let's get going. So thank you everyone for joining us this morning at the Chamber's second webinar in our Celebration of Logistics Month program. For those that don't know me, my name is Christine Boss and I serve as the Chamber's Government Affairs Manager and currently serve on the Airport Advisory Commission. We have a great webinar for you today as a part of our larger series. The Celebration of Logistics program serves to promote appreciation for the critical role of the logistics industry. COVID-19 has highlighted the importance and the value of the logistics industry that sources, distributes, and delivers critical products and equipment across our country in this time of need. And what is the logistics industry without our airports and our airline partners? But before we begin, let me just take a few moments to address some of the housekeeping items. We want to encourage everyone to please use the Q&A feature, which can be found at the bottom of your screen. We'll save all questions to the very end of the program, but please feel free to place them in the Q&A along the way. Also, please note that this webinar will be recorded and distributed to all registrants and chamber members. The Celebration of Logistics series will continue next Thursday, May 20th at 10 a.m. And I want to give a big thank you to our title sponsor of the entire series, Moffitt Nickel. Please take a moment to enjoy this video from our title sponsor.
Long Beach Container Terminal, commonly referred to as the Middle Harbor Redevelopment Project, has been 12 years in the making. It is currently the most significant maritime project in North America. And not only is it the most technologically advanced container terminal in North America, it is the cleanest container terminal on the planet. And we're proud of that.
Moffitt Nickel's been part of the project from day one. The master planning of the terminal, laying it out, looking at the modes of operation, the infrastructure required to support that operation. Throughout this project, one of the key things that I've learned is the importance of teamwork and collaboration, bringing both parties together to understand the design side and to understand the operations side.
And that's the good thing about our partnership, is that Moffitt Nickel, they've been there from the beginning for the long haul, and they will be there at the very end. And that partnership has been invaluable to Long Beach Container Terminal.
Okay, thank you so much, Moffitt Nickel. Oh my goodness, Moffitt Nickel, the series would not be possible without you. And a big thank you to our top sponsors, the Port of Long Beach, AES Alamitos, Dignity Health St. Mary Medical Center, Hawaiian Airlines, Long Beach Airport, Marathon, Mitsubishi Cement, Southwest Airlines, and Turkish Airlines. Your support is much appreciated and will go far in our city's economic recovery. I'd now like to move right along and introduce you to our first speaker, Brent Overbeek. Brent Overbeek was appointed as the Senior Vice President for Revenue Management and Network Planning for Hawaiian Airlines in March 2018. Brent joined Hawaiian Airlines in July 2014, overseeing the company's revenue management and revenue analytics network and schedule planning. As Senior Vice President, he expanded his responsibility to include Hawaiian Airlines' growing cargo division. Previously, Brent served as Vice President of Revenue Management for Etihad Airways in Abu Dhabi. He also worked for American Airlines, where he gained 19 years of progressive analytic and revenue management experience in several positions, including Managing Director of Domestic and Regional Revenue Management. Brent holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Economics from UC San Diego. And Brent, I'll let you take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here today. And it is really our pleasure to be here with the Chamber of Commerce in Long Beach. Well, we have had a chance during COVID to spend some time in our communities, and I certainly have enjoyed that. Being here with you all today is special for me, and while I like spending time in all of our mainland communities and getting to share with folks, Long Beach has a special place for me. I grew up just across the 605 from you all in Seal Beach. And have many fond memories of Long Beach, whether it was playing basketball against Milliken or Long Beach Wilson, or playing golf at Skylinks in El Dorado. And actually my first job was in high school was at Long Beach Airport. So a lot of fun memories and personal connections for me with your great airport and the community there. Let's see, make sure we're, so as we were thinking of and thinking about logistics, I think about it a lot in my business, or my part of the business, really on the cargo side, and thinking about how supply chains have been disrupted during COVID. but I actually went back and, like anyone today, and went and Googled it, and really said, wasn't surprised, but it was a very simple definition of, logistics is the detailed coordination of a complex project involving many people, facilities, and supplies. And as I think about running an airline and getting an endeavor or starting a new station or getting a schedule up and running at a place like Long Beach, it really is a testament to many logistical things, not just within Hawaiian Airlines, but also across our partners there at the airport. Sorry, are you guys seeing my screen okay, real quick?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. We have a Hawaiian word as well that actually fits in with logistics. It's called laulima, and that's many hands working together, and it's working together to solve a common problem, and how do we partner to make that happen? And I think it's something that we've done very well at Hawaiian Airlines, and we're certainly proud to do that with our endeavor here in Long Beach. And it really just goes to how complex our business is on a day-to-day basis. And I think as customers, a lot of times we take it for granted, all of the things that need to happen to get an airplane out and get it out on time. And something we're really proud of at Hawaiian Airlines that we've done for been the #1 airline in terms of on-time dependability over the last 17 years in the US. I'll spend a little bit of time now talking about us. For some of you may not have been able to experience our product and know a lot about Hawaiian Airlines. We are one of the nation's longest serving carriers. We are in our 91st year of operations, and we are proud to call Hawaii our home. And we are Hawaii's airline, and not only an important part of infrastructure in getting our tourism economy moving, but we're also the highways and byways of our state in terms of getting folks to and from across the islands here in Hawaii. And a lot of things that on the mainland you take for granted, and you hop on the 405 and go down a few exits to go see a doctor or get something done, sometimes involves air travel here within the state. And so we are really proud to be Hawaii's longest serving airline and Hawaii's hometown carrier, and serve our community both economically and being able to meet the needs of our citizens here within the state. While we've been an airline for 91 years, we've only been in Long Beach for 3, but it's been 3 years, and we have been exceptionally proud of those years. We're coming up on our 3rd anniversary in just a couple of weeks, and it was great. I remember being out there for that, and the excitement and support we had from the community and the airport was truly fantastic. One of my team's roles is to forecast and decide where we fly. And when I went to our CEO up on the screen here, he's the tall gentleman in the left-hand corner of the picture up here. And I told Peter it would something that I thought it would make sense for us to fly out of Long Beach. He kind of looked at me and was like, "You sure?" And I said, "Yeah, I had been obviously had a fair amount of experience around the airport, knew the community around the airport, the proximity to the freeway, how many people were going by the airport every day on their way to LA. And then really what the airport had to offer. And that was a simple, great customer experience, putting guests first. And that is very similar to our philosophy here at Hawaiian Airlines. And so I knew we had a good match, and Peter happened to be on a business trip and was in LA, and hopped into the airport and met with Cynthia's predecessor and some folks from the Long Beach airport team. And he hadn't even gotten to Lakewood Boulevard and called me and said, "You're right, this is going to work." And soon thereafter, we made an announcement that we were going to join the community in Long Beach, and we've been ecstatic to do so since. We started up our additional service to Maui in March of this year. Ironically, we were really, really close to announcing that pre-COVID. Frankly, we were probably within a week or two of announcing that service, and then the onset of COVID hit. And has taken us to where we are today. But we were really excited to launch that in March, and as we'll talk about, we've seen a material step up in our business here in Hawaii, and it's off to a great start, and we appreciate the support of the airport and of the community in Long Beach in terms of that service. A little bit about our network. We serve 16 cities in North America, and have added to that since the onset of COVID going on, in addition to our real focus on the West Coast, but we've added service from Austin and Orlando, as well as Ontario, California, about the same time that we added service from Long Beach to Maui. So we've got a big footprint. We're the #1 carrier from North America to Hawaii. We've got our second line of business is we really run a big shuttle operation within the state here. And so we are as I mentioned earlier, we're the highways and byways of moving people, our residents and guests throughout the state. And lastly, we've got an international network, Australia, New Zealand, some Pacific Islands, a big presence in Japan and in Korea. That business has largely been shuttered with COVID, and we're doing a very limited operation internationally as a result of the disease. One thing that really sets us apart as an airline is we bring Hawaii to you while you're in your journey and while you start your journey, and you won't get confused and think you're going to Albuquerque or Des Moines. You know you're going to Hawaii when you hop on an airplane with Hawaiian Airlines, and we are truly blessed to have a wonderful, wonderful team that can deliver authentic Hawaiian hospitality. And I've had the pleasure of working at several different carriers, and no place has the passion and warmth and service really emanated as it has here at Hawaiian Airlines. And I can't say how proud I am to be a part of the team here at Hawaiian. And matter of fact, when I was thinking about joining the company, I spent a bunch of time with a bunch of our frontline employees. I was flying over from Japan on my way here, and they were the ones that really convinced me to join. It was just a wonderful, wonderful team with a passion about their home and about their home carrier. So we are really, really blessed to have a wonderful, wonderful team. We also tailor our products to meet the needs of our guests, and because we do just one thing around focusing, taking people to, from, and within the state of Hawaii, we are able to design products and services that really deliver value to our guests. And whether it's our front cabin product that people really enjoy on the mid hauls that we've got, or our fully flat seats on some of our longer haul international and some of our bigger gateways, to our Hawaiian cuisine that we serve, to the little small nuances that we've designed in the cabin. You know you're going to Hawaii, and we deliver products and services accordingly. I'll switch gears now and talk a little bit about impact of COVID on Hawaii. And much like the rest of the nation, in late March of last year, we essentially shut down our economy here. We're a big tourism economy. And the governor put in place a 14-day quarantine for people traveling from the mainland or internationally upon arrival. And you can see here on the chart that arrivals essentially came to a grinding halt, and stayed that way, kind of a little bit of moderate uptick throughout the summer. And then we started to open our economy back in October as we had the ability to test out of quarantine, and then have seen a steady buildup from that. Unsurprisingly, with our tourism being a big part of our economy, COVID hit Hawaii and the visitor industry hard. For those of you who have had the opportunity to spend some time in Waikiki, to see Kalakaua look like that is frankly, it was kind of eerie. It was a little bit of it was frankly a ghost town, and for an area that is so vibrant and has so much activity most of the time, to be so dormant was a bit eerie when you drove through town. Likewise, our terminal there on the right. Normally, if you go in there at 11 o'clock in the morning, it is quite busy and quite a hub of activity. And to see that sit idle was really was really quite sobering for us, and had a big hit on obviously our business, but the economy of Hawaii in general. This chart really looks at how we managed the disease here within the state, and we had, our government here within the state was quite conservative with how they managed the disease. And this is a chart that looks at excess deaths and on one axis and unemployment on the other. And you can see we did a wonderful job within the state of keeping people healthy and didn't have much disease. And certainly from a per capita death perspective, we did quite well. And we're truly blessed and appreciate the leadership of the state in that. But that had a big economic toll, and the amount of job loss that we had here in the state was certainly at the top or leading the nation as we were working our ways through the pandemic. As being one of the largest employers in the state, and having almost all of our employees either being based here or having ties in Hawaii, we knew it was important to open up the state and get our economy going, not just for our own business, but for the many small businesses that rely on tourism and the offshoots of tourism to succeed. But we wanted to make sure we were doing it the right way. And so we've been very active in how we support that and how we drive that. But beyond that, we also wanted to make sure that we were doing it the right way in terms of sustainability, both economically and socially within our community. And then we also wanted to make sure that both we and our guests were traveling pono. And pono means kind of doing the right thing. It's a Hawaiian word that means, really, when you look in the mirror, you're doing the right thing, and it's reflecting inwards upon that. And so we wanted to make sure that as we opened up, that our guests were taking care of themselves, they were taking care of our community from a health perspective, and taking care of our precious natural resources here in Hawaii that are so important to us. A little bit of how we evolved our business over the disease. As I mentioned, when we went through the spring, we really essentially shuttered much of our business, and we had our network down to just a couple trips a day, and to Seattle, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. And frankly, for much of that second quarter, we had more revenue in the bellies of our airplanes than we did upstairs from a passenger perspective. And we were really focused on ensuring that we had a pipeline to get goods into the state. We obviously import quite a bit here within the state, and we wanted to make sure that we had the ability to do that, and that was sustained as we were going through some of our shocks. So we had a very, very limited schedule and to operate. As we worked our way into the fall and early winter, it was encouraging that the state had the ability to test out of quarantine, and we were able to start opening up more of our Honolulu service, as well as reinstating service in some of our gateways to Maui. And we were able to do that through the winter and then into the early spring. And then we've really been able to accelerate things, much like much of the industry. We've seen a rebound in interest in travel, and certainly interest in Hawaii travel has been quite strong. And we've been able to grow back and enter new markets like Long Beach, Maui, and Austin, and Ontario, and Orlando. And we'll actually this summer have a bigger domestic footprint than we did in 2019. And certainly some of that, is supported by our international business still largely being shuttered. We're doing a limited service there, but frankly, that again is being driven more by cargo than passengers, but we're doing a little bit there. But we're encouraged to get back up and running, not only for our business, but for our community, in terms of getting our employees back to work getting our economy moving again, and being able to support that. One of the things that, from an operations perspective and a commercial perspective is, as we brought things back, we wanted to make sure that we were helping people manage their way through travel. And I think in the call before this, a few of us were talking about being ready to travel and getting ready to travel, and anxiousness around that. Traveling to Hawaii is a little bit more complex. We have you have to test out of quarantine that I mentioned earlier. The states and the counties have had some different rules in place. And so one of the things we really thought was important was making sure we were communicating to our guests the expectations that were of them in terms of ensuring that they had a good trip and a successful trip. So passing along that information on where to get tests, how to be able to upload that information to make your travel seamless. A shout out to one of our partners in Long Beach. Worksite Labs is a Long Beach-based company, and one that we partnered with very early in the pandemic. And we recognize the importance of creating labs and creating certainty around testing, that our guests would be able to find a test and be able to get that in and get out of quarantine, successfully test out of quarantine. And Worksite Labs has been a fantastic partner. We've got a lab there in Long Beach to support our Hawaii service, and truly innovative, solving a lot of technical issues on the fly, and have been a wonderful partner. And I've used their services a couple times as I've started to travel again to the mainland, and it's really a pleasure to work with them, and they've been excellent. And so a shout out to one of your local Long Beach companies who's been a super partner with us over the last year. We focused on pre-clearing. So one of the things the state had here for guests is they had to work through all their paperwork. We wanted to get that done on the mainland so folks could start their vacation as soon as possible when they hit the ground running here, and avoid some of the lines and working through that. And so we've been very effective about getting that work done on the mainland and getting people expedited and moving through the airport here in Honolulu and making that a little an easier process. Finally, really then kind of on the safety front, I think it goes without saying, but it's important. You know, we were early adopters of ensuring that our airplanes were clean and focused on the science of keeping our guests, our employees safe throughout this. And so certainly from a cleaning and welfare perspective, but also a mass compliance, something that we take very seriously here at Hawaiian Airlines. And last, we knew that as travel came back, we wanted to make it easier and more simple for our guests to do business with us. Business has come back really quick, and we are encouraged by that, but we want to make sure that people stay and continue to do business with us. So we've ended our change fees, and we've also eliminated our mileage expiration policy. So for folks who travel to Hawaii, you know, once every couple of years, but it could never accrue enough miles to be able to get a free trip on Hawaiian Airlines. Now we've changed that policy to allow them and encourage them to come back and do business with us and enjoy our wonderful product, our wonderful people. And so with that, a big mahalo. I'm so happy to say that Hawaii is back open, and as the flagship carrier of our state, we look forward to welcoming you to Hawaii, but also welcoming and sending some of our community back into Long Beach and the surrounding areas. It's been a popular service for our Hawaii residents in terms of getting into Long Beach and Orange County. Disneyland, University of Hawaii is a wonderful partner of ours, and they certainly love having the service in there to be able to support travel to when they play Cal State Long Beach and some of the other schools. So mahalo for your time. We certainly appreciate the support, and a big thank you to Cynthia and her team. They are wonderful partners for us at Hawaiian Airlines, and we certainly love doing business in Long Beach. Aloha.
Thank you, Brent. As a reminder, if you have any questions for Brent or Hawaiian Airlines, please use the Q&A box located at the bottom of the screen, and we'll ask these questions at the end of the program. Now I'd like to introduce our next presenter, Leah Kuntz. Leah Kuntz is the Vice President and Controller of Southwest Airlines, the nation's largest airline in terms of passengers boarded. In her 28-year career with Southwest, Leah has held numerous roles within the finance department, including Manager of Revenue Accounting, Manager of General Accounting, Director of Financial Accounting, and Assistant Controller. In her current position, Leah oversees all accounting and financial reporting, SOX, tax, and controller operations. She also provides executive support to the communications and outreach team in Southern California, developing relationships with nonprofit organizations to champion causes that matter most to the communities. Leah holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in accounting from the University of Texas at Arlington. Leah, go ahead and take it away.
All right, good morning, everybody. It is great to be with you guys. I'm going to try to share my screen real quick. Hopefully y'all can see that okay. Thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure to be here and spend some time with you today. I'm actually here in Southern California for business, visiting with some of our community partners. And I tell you what, it feels awesome to be back on the road and to be back here in California. So they gave me free rein on what to talk about. So I thought I would talk about the past year, give you some behind the scenes on the impacts of the pandemic on our business, and give you some thoughts on the future. So Southwest Airlines celebrates our 50th birthday on June 18th. And we've all been a little nostalgic looking back at our history. So I thought I would share this gem of a picture with you because it really does highlight our humble beginnings. So we're based in Dallas, Texas, and Southwest started service after 3 years of really hard-fought legal battles. And we only served 3 cities that we refer to as the Texas Triangle, with Dallas at the top and then Houston and San Antonio in the corners. And Southwest was actually considered an underdog because we chose a road less traveled. So high frequency, low cost, point-to-point service, and that didn't exist in the 70s. And because we were an underdog, those original Southwest employees that you see there had to develop what we called a warrior spirit to survive. And that warrior spirit has been ingrained in our culture for 50 years. And after the pandemic last year, coming up on our 50th birthday, we've had a lot of reflection and debates on the toughest time in our history. And I would certainly say that our first year of service and the last year of service were certainly 2 of the toughest times that we've had as a company. So starting out serving 3 cities in Texas, and now 50 years later, this is what our route map looks like. And you can see how extensive our point-to-point nonstop network is. So the blue dots that you see on the map represent where we were in 2010. And the red dots represent growth since 2011. And you can see that we've continued to focus on growing our network, and we're up to about 120 airports served, including 10 countries and 14 near international destinations. So our founder, Herb Kelleher, used to say that he'd expect at least 2 crises in every decade and that you need to be ready for them. So we've all been raised to manage really well in the good times so that we'd be prepared for the bad times. And that's the model that we've used for 50 years. And so that balanced approach focuses on financial performance, excellent operations, strategic opportunities, and of course our culture, which is important to both customers and employees. And so just talking real quick about a financial perspective, that means that we've got ample cash on hand, modest debt, we make sensible commitments and investments, and of course we provide returns to our shareholders who've got a whole lot of choices on where to invest their money. From an operational perspective, we don't sacrifice reliable operations while we're growing our business, because we know that getting our customers to their destinations on time with their bags is really, really important. Strategically, we've stuck with our robust point-to-point network that I showed you on the previous slide. That's just proven to be a sustainable business model for us. And it gives our customers many more nonstop destinations than they would otherwise have. And of course, we focus on our legendary culture being the best place to work and empowering our employees to do the right things for our customers. So based on that operating model, We ended 2019 fully prepared for a crisis, just like Herb taught us. However, we quickly learned that no matter how prepared we were for the bad times, we certainly weren't immune from COVID-19. And unfortunately, 2020 gave us our first annual net loss since 1972, which is really unheard of in the airline industry. It's a tough business. And so having a streak like that was something that we were incredibly proud of. And just to talk a little bit about the business, we started seeing the impacts from the pandemic in February of 2020. And by the 1st of March, people started canceling trips. By the end of March 2020, business was down 98% versus the year before. So, just like that, overnight, it was just gone. And we had to reduce capacity. We ended up having almost 200 airplanes that we placed into temporary storage. And it's certainly been a challenge to manage that capacity because you'd see bright moments where demand would start to rebound, but then reports of hospitalizations would go up and demand would stall. And so it really has been a continuous effort, even through 2021, to monitor demand and make sure that we're making adjustments to our flight schedule appropriately. But, as soon as we started to see the impacts of COVID-19, our primary focus was just on cash. So reducing costs, anything discretionary we had to stop. We implemented voluntary separation programs and emergency time off programs for our employees. And with everything combined, we were able to cut about $8 billion in costs compared to what we'd planned to spend in 2020. We raised about $19 billion in cash by issuing debt, stock, and of course, we got $3.4 billion in assistance through the CARES Act payroll support program, which was greatly appreciated and greatly needed. Not being one to sit on our laurels, we've continued to pursue new revenue opportunities. And one of the capital projects that we continued to work on was participation with the Global Distribution System, or GDS, to better serve our corporate customers when business travel rebounds. Customer policies, we've always committed to having low fares and no hidden change fees or bag fees. And in the pandemic, we focused on adding extra convenience for customers by extending flight credits and status, knowing that everyone wasn't and perhaps still isn't comfortable traveling. And I should point out for our employees, even though our 47-year streak of profitability was broken, the most important record stayed intact, which is that we've never had an involuntary furlough, layoff, or pay cut for our people. And then it's something we are incredibly proud of and so grateful that we were able to maintain that record. So if I move to this slide, I wanted to focus a little bit just on safety, and every carrier in the industry has focused on this. And on May 1st for Southwest, we launched what we call the Southwest Promise. And promise is a big word, and it's one that we were intentional in choosing. So the Southwest Promise, it's an overarching commitment to ensure the safety and protection of our employees and our customers. And the promise is our commitment to you that you're going to experience the benefit of round-the-clock cleaning to support well-being and comfort of both employees and customers. And so we're using a layered approach because we discovered that it's not just one thing that's going to make everybody feel comfortable traveling. So it starts with a health declaration from each customer. And then in terms of aircraft cleaning, electrostatic disinfectant and antimicrobial spray are applied on the surface of every aircraft, and that kills viruses on contact and forms kind of a coating or shield that lasts for 30 days. And then the aircraft are deep cleaned at night, and all of the high touch areas are disinfected between flights. And of course, we use HEPA air filters on each aircraft, and we have sanitizing wipes on board just upon request. You see the cleaning in the airport, of course, and our customers and employees are required to follow CDC guidelines related to wearing masks. One thing I really wanted to touch on here is community engagement. And so even though we're an airline, I think one of the things that we've always said is that some of our best work is done on the ground. And we've got a rich history of helping support causes that are important to your community. And we consider ourselves to be your neighbor. And during the pandemic, we were admittedly financially strapped, but it was important that we found creative ways to give back to the community. And so we continue to provide cash and in-kind donations where possible, as you can see from this slide. But we also gifted 67 million rapid reward points to small businesses to help them with their travel needs. And of course, we donated our onboard products to food banks throughout the country, and we're able to give 13 tractor trailers worth of snacks and beverages. And we encouraged our customers to participate as well and provided them opportunities to donate to 3 nonprofits and get rapid reward points in exchange. And of course, we provided free transportation to frontline healthcare workers and transported medical supplies and PPE across the country. And, you know, there was a picture that one of our flight attendants posted back in April that when the whole country was locked down, and the picture was of the inside of our cabin in flight, and it had 1 passenger on board. And the belly of the plane was loaded with medical supplies and PPE. And the 1 passenger was a frontline medical worker who was going to offer services in another part of the country. And it just made me so proud to know that we were able to move supplies and people and do our part to help during the pandemic. This slide shows you that we've been really busy and we're able to find a way to put idle aircraft and employees to work. So we've added 17 new destinations to our route map in 2020 and 2021. And that's the most growth we've ever had. It's a record. Leisure markets are hot, and we listen to our customers who are asking for service to new destinations, and thankfully we were able to do that. And you can see that we added 3 new destinations here in California with Palm Springs, Fresno, and Santa Barbara. So let me orient you to this slide. I love it. Of course, I'm a finance girl. You heard accounting multiple times in my title. I love this slide because it really shows you the impact of the pandemic on our business. So the blue and red bars that you see there, that represents revenue from January 2020 all the way through March of 2021. And the gray piece of the bar that you see starting in March represents the gap that we had to our 2019 revenue. So on the left, you can see in January and February, our results actually exceeded 2019 because you don't see any gray part of the bar. But then you can see in March that that revenue started to drop, and then it just totally fell off in April. And it's further demonstrated by the lines that you see on this chart. So the green line shows what the demand or new bookings were for travel. So you can see it started to fall off in February, and then it's just like a ski slope, just cratered in March and April. And then to make matters worse, the yellow line is customer cancellation. So you can see those were pretty low. And then in March, those spiked up. So in March, April, you just had this perfect storm on our business with new bookings that were just cratering and cancellations that were at an all-time high. And then you can see through the year, as I mentioned earlier, we had on the green line, we had a rebound in bookings in June, but then it fell back down around the 4th of July as hospitalizations increased. And then the demand just kind of flatlined through the rest of the year up until March. And that's where we started to see improvement. And thankfully, that improvement has continued here in April and May. But you can see from the revenue bars, we've still got a big gap to make up just in terms of revenue by looking at those dotted lines there. So we've really been in survival mode for the last year, and we ended first quarter with revenues down 60% versus 2019. But things are improving, and we expect April to only be down about 45 to 55%, and May to be down only 35 to 40%. So it's definitely getting better. And I wanted to wrap up here just by focusing a little bit on the LA Basin and Long Beach specifically. So if I look back and use fourth quarter 2020 as a baseline, Southwest has a strong presence in the LA Basin with about 25% of the market share when you look at all 5 airports. And our focus here in Long Beach has been intentional. So we started service in June of 2016 with 4 nonstops to Oakland. And knowing that Long Beach offers a superior arrival and departure experience for customers, we've invested significantly. And as of mid-April, we had 35 departures to 14 cities from Long Beach. And Long Beach is really, really important to Southwest. It was our first LA area gateway to the Hawaiian Islands with daily service to both Honolulu and Maui. But we've also invested in nonstop intra-California service to Oakland, San Jose, and Sacramento. And then for those of you who are visual like I am, I love this picture because this is the nonstop route map from Long Beach. And you can see that on the left that 7 new destinations have been added during the pandemic since March. And also we added Denver and Phoenix in September of 2020. And all of that service was able to be added when we were awarded slots when another carrier vacated the airport. And I should also mention that Long Beach has been a national leader in terms of vaccinations and COVID protocols. So we'll see how that translates to recovery of business travel, but it's certainly helpful. So all in all, I think we believe that the worst is behind us. We're seeing improvements in revenue trends and folks are starting to book their travel a little bit further out. So we're definitely seeing a positive impact from vaccination efforts and declining case counts, and that's working together to restore consumer confidence. There's still, a long way to go, but I definitely think that we are on our way. So thanks again for letting me spend a few minutes with you just to talk about my favorite topic, Southwest Airlines. And with that, Christine, I think I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Leah. That was great. So if you have any questions for Leah or Southwest Airlines, please use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. I'll now be introducing our next presenter, Cynthia Guidry. Cynthia Guidry is the director of Long Beach Airport, nicely nestled in Southern California, an award-winning airport with a unique open-air concourse. Long Beach Airport is served by a handful of commercial carriers and is also one of the busiest general aviation airports in the country. Long Beach Airport prides itself on providing fresh, new facilities and amenities and bringing the ease of travel to its customers. Cynthia and her team will lead the next phase of improvements, adding to the respected legacy of Long Beach Airport. Formerly the Deputy Executive Director of the Planning and Development Group for the Los Angeles World Airports, Cynthia was responsible for managing the Los Angeles World Airport's multi-billion-dollar capital program, delivering airfield, terminal, and landside improvements. Cynthia is a professional engineer licensed from the state of California and has 28 years of planning, engineering, and professional experience working for the city of Los Angeles and 18 years with the Los Angeles World Airports. She's also served on the board of directors for the Los Angeles chapter of Women's Transportation Seminar. Cynthia holds a Master of Business Administration from Pepperdine University and a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering from UC Irvine. I'll hand it over to you, Cynthia.
Well, thank you, and greetings to the chamber. But Commissioner Boss, I really appreciate your intro, as well as being a new advisory commissioner for our commission. So I'm excited today. I am certainly thankful for the chamber inviting me, as well as representatives from Southwest and Hawaiian Airlines for today's really an aviation spotlight as we celebrate logistics. So please, thank you. And I'll start out by saying that, really being in the business of moving people and goods is one of the most rewarding careers. Simply put, we put the emphasis on trying to get things moving around our world, whether it's out of necessity or out of pleasure. We get to touch millions of lives on a daily basis and also strengthen our global economy. So it's definitely a rewarding career to be in. Today, though, I'm pleased to really share about Long Beach Airport news. I'll do a really brief reminder about our chic, award-winning airport and easygoing airport experience. I'll talk a little bit about where we are today and also tomorrow's bright future. Next slide, please. So of no surprise, probably to this group, travel and tourism is hugely important to the American economy, and particularly important to Long Beach. Airports, I'll speak about us for a minute. We're often gateways to an economic stream of activities between cities and really around the world. And just our most recent economic impact report, which was conducted prior to the pandemic, estimated that the airport aviation complex, which includes the surrounding businesses, generated 8.6 billion in economic impact and supports 46,000 jobs for the region. Can't wait till we get back to those numbers. So really, and it showed in that same report that the average commercial passenger flying into Long Beach Airport spent $546 off airport on accommodations, food, shopping, entertainment, and ground transportation. Visitor spending is just one of the economic impacts from the airport. And what I'll talk about in a minute is also at our airport, we have a steady stream of construction projects, which really supports high-paying jobs as well. So when the pandemic arrived, we saw the biggest disruption to our aviation industry. And you heard a little bit about that amongst Southwest and Hawaiian. We saw passenger counts drop as low as 95% right here in Long Beach of the 2019 levels. And we quickly had to learn, adjust, and quickly respond to the needs of the moment. And what I'm really just so grateful about is the immediate actions of our city leadership, our mayor, our council, our city manager's office to propel Long Beach into action and really lead the way on so many things, testing and vaccinations. As an airport, it is as Brent and we were talking about, it is so important that we work tightly together. And they've been amazing business partners as well as many others here. We all intensified our measures to increase safety for our travelers as well as our employees since the onset of this pandemic. We were looking at everything from hourly cleaning, plexiglass barriers, extensive messaging, social distance markers, COVID testing, all of that, just really working closely together to ensure that we were doing the best and the utmost that we could to increase the comfortability and ease and safety of this airport. So much so, and I'm so proud of our airport team that we did recently receive earlier this year our airport health accreditation, which really recognizes our commitment to protect the health and safety of our travelers and employees. And we were awarded that by a leading trade organization for airports. Next slide, please. And so what about a little bit more about the impacts? I talked about health accreditation already, but really, just this last month, like we see March of 2021, there was a moment that just shifted. And by this time, the vaccinations were really being well distributed here in Long Beach. And within a 7-day time period, we saw a dramatic uptick, a significant rebound in our traffic. And it's so great to see, because as Brent was saying earlier, talk about ghost towns. It was a very dismal view when we walked in some of our areas of the airport. And now, just as last month in April, we're roughly about 50% of our 2019 numbers. It's great to see that, but we certainly still have a long way to go. And I can tell you, looking at 50%, it's definitely seeing this uptick. It's definitely encouraging. So I'm looking forward to the remainder of this year and further, just to really see what the future brings. Next slide, please. So our cargo and general aviation activity has pretty much, we had a little dip in the beginning, but it's pretty much been steady. We're looking at it, but it didn't take the hit as our commercial activity did. And so we're definitely happy to see that. But of course, going back to where we are today on our commercial front, we're certainly looking forward to where we are and where we're moving forward to, because 2020, as you all know, was not just a significant year because of the pandemic, but we also transitioned to a new dominant carrier with Southwest picking up those available slots here at Long Beach Airport. And with that and the 70 destinations, as Leah mentioned earlier, including Honolulu and Maui, and then for Hawaiian Airlines to also introduce Maui, it really put us in a position and really just so fortunate to serve as a really good Southern California launching pad for travel to Hawaii. I mean, we're just so proud of that. And I believe that we have a wonderful airport and setting that is just really the great place to start that Hawaii travel. And so I would say too that the pandemic has truly brought our airport and our business partners together, but it also has taught us the importance of flexibility. We know that we've had to make quick adjustments over the entire year. We're certainly all laser focused on every bit of data that's out there. We're very sensitive to the travel demand that we're seeing out there, as Leah talked about as well. Certainly there is a huge uptick in domestic leisure travel in our industry. And we're all doing what we can to really boost travel confidence as we really welcome in our road toward recovery. I'll say too, and I'm going a little bit faster, but I want to be respectful of time, but that we're very fortunate to receive $23.7 million out of the CARES and CRISA funds recently, federal funding, that has really helped us get through a tough year. We are also expected to receive about $15 million for the ARPA funds that was also recently approved. And all these funds are helpful in allowing us to move forward with several things, but we still have to be, and we still are very diligent and fiscally responsible for what's in front of us. I mean, we still need to get through this year and next, to see travel really rebound fully, and that's what we're looking forward to. Next slide. Thank you. So where are we? What's the future? What's going on here? If you've been through our airport recently, you'll know that we have a lot of construction happening, and so I'm really excited about that. And so phase 2, our modernization program that we have really is setting us up for a very positive and bright future. We have a $110 million program in front of us that is amazing, and that it will further enhance the customer passenger experience from curb to gate. And this program will take advantage of the latest trends, some of the things that we're learning due to the pandemic, such as more touchless technology, having more outdoor space, very nice spacious facilities for travelers to socially distance even more, because there's some habits we'll probably just keep doing. But it also brings for us just even the ability to build this program, again, jobs, about 440 jobs we expect on this construction improvement program. And so there's a lot that we're doing right now to help further build and return to recovery for our region. In addition to the phase 2, we also have a pretty robust airfield program. So we have $45 million that we recently received from the FAA last year to really support our critical infrastructure out there on that airfield. And so we're very proud and grateful for FAA support, which improves the safety of our airfield. But again, that's another source of great paying jobs and opportunity. And so with all that we're doing, we're still very much keeping a close eye on sustainability. And so I'll add that we recently received LEED Silver status for our existing concourse, where we're aiming for the same LEED Silver status for the new ticketing building that we're currently in construction on. And so we're definitely excited about that. And so one of the initiatives that we've been working on, along with the other airports in the region, in LA region, is we've entered into a voluntary memorandum of understanding with South Coast Air Quality Management District to reduce carbon emissions, airport emissions. And so we just announced some exciting news, maybe you did see it, about our sustainability program that is really the capstone for all of our efforts so far. we're entering into an airport carbon accreditation program, which helps identify, manage, and reduce emissions. And so as part of that program, we pledged to reduce airport emissions on an airport passenger basis, per passenger basis, by 25% in 2025 and 40% in 2030. So these are aggressive, but really achievable goals for us that demonstrate our commitment to the environment and our surrounding communities. Next slide. So speaking about Hawaii, and I want to pump it up a little bit more here. 2020 really does for us mark a new era. I talked about the new destinations and focus on Hawaii. And so hopefully, and I hope along with you, I can't wait to say, this pandemic is behind us. I mean, we're turning the corner, but I can't wait to get back to full travel and going from one destination to the next. But to see the pandemic behind us and further opening of businesses and confidence in travel increasing, our airport is really, really, truly excited to work with all of our partners and to be of service to our entire industry and to the local community. And so to be a major launch point now for our passengers, or preferred, I would even say preferred launching point, really because of our easygoing experience. And it's definitely a place where you could visually and see that you would want to take off right here amidst our open garden area while you're waiting to jump on your flight to Hawaii. So it's definitely an airport that I am so proud of to have access to one of the hottest destination points at this time. So we've launched just this week our new Hawaii travel info page, and just have a little viewing of that here. But it's right on our website, really to accommodate travelers, as we know so many are desiring Hawaii plans, that they can easily look at FAQs, know where to go, because it is a process that our passengers will have to go through to successfully go to that destination. So I know we're tight on time. I skipped a few things, but I do want to thank the Chamber again, thank our commissioner, really for inviting all of us to really be here and share on what we're doing. And we do have amazing partners with Southwest and Hawaii, and they've been really great in working through all the issues and being able to provide a great service to our community. So along with Long Beach Airport, I know we all will continue to provide a safe, easy, and modern travel experience. Us at Long Beach Airport want to be a leader in sustainability, so we'll continue to do that and be a responsible steward and community partner. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. And thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. I want to give another big thank you to our title sponsor, Moffitt & Nichol. We'd not be able to do this whole series without you. So thank you so much for your support. And of course, thank you to big thank you to our sponsors, Port of Long Beach, AES Alamitos, Dignity Health, St. Mary Medical Center, Hawaiian Airlines, Long Beach Airport, Marathon, Mitsubishi Cement, Southwest Airlines, and Turkish Airlines. As a reminder, we'll be sending out a recap email that will include the recording and contact information from today. So if you have any questions for any of our panelists or anything regarding this webinar, feel free to respond to that email with your questions and we'll get an answer to you. We also want to invite you to attend the next webinar that will take place on Thursday, May 20th at 10 a.m. and will include the president of Exahai, a cybersecurity company, where we'll discuss e-commerce and cybersecurity issues. So thank you again to everyone for joining, and we'll see you next week.